They got dominated by Pittsburgh Sunday with the Flacco and the offense unable to get anything going for the second week in a row. Now John Harbaugh says the team needs to take the heat off their quarterback who addressed the offensive woes today.
I've been a little bit quick to get the ball out of my hands at times, and I think if I just hang in there and trust the process, trust the pocket, and I might have to step up and make some plays here and there. I think like I said earlier, when some of those big plays are presented to us, we got them. They're there. They've been pretty easy. You can make them in your sleep, and we haven't made them.
Well, as you see there, Flacco has been terrible so far, at or near the bottom of the league in yards per attempt, yards per game, interceptions, and passer rating. Cowherd, should the Ravens bench Joe Flacco?
No, because I don't have a lot of options. But, I'm going to say this from an observer. I could be completely wrong. But his accuracy is so poor. Is he committed? I've questioned Cam Newton, and I've said, how can you be 7 years in this league and have mechanics like Cam Newton? Like the guys that put the work in, even if they're limited, have good mechanics. I watch Joe Flacco, and I see a big, strong guy with a big arm. He's still not an elite reader of defenses. I watched his accuracy last week. It's shockingly bad. His mechanics are okay. Like, when I watch Joe, I sit there and I think, all right, he's got a skill. For years and years, I said this about Stafford. I like Stafford's arm. I hated his mechanics. Is it the wrong system? I just see Flacco as a guy that depends too much on this cannon. I don't see the mechanics, the fluidity, I don't see the accuracy. I think he's regressed as a player.
He's Cutler with a Super Bowl in terms of passion for the game.
That's what I feel like.
No question. But I hate, this will sound like an excuse, but I don't like really short quarterbacks, and I don't like really tall quarterbacks. And for tall quarterbacks, there's so much to the throwing motion. I think once you get over 6'4", Big Ben's the only guy at 6'5" that I've ever really liked over 6'4". And so I look at Brock Osweiler, I look at Joe Flacco, I look at years ago, I think it was Dan McGuire, came out of San Diego State. 6'7", 6'8" quarterbacks, the accuracy, getting all, even look at Cam Newton, the 6'5", 6'6". The mechanics are harder for tall quarterbacks, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think when you think about overall what the Ravens are dealing with just offensively, you look at what Joe is doing this year. I think it's obvious that Joe is playing bad, but if you look all the way around the board, the Ravens' entire offense has to figure out, who are we? What's our makeup? Are we going to run the ball? Are we going to pass the ball? What are we going to do? Because when Joe is set, Mark, you understand this, when he can get in that pocket and use that cannon, that's when Joe is really effective. But we haven't seen that. One of the biggest things I think we kind of not pay attention to as much in his world is losing Marshall Yonder changes everything for that offensive line. So now the same chemistry and leadership you're looking for that veteran player to take care of all of those things, that no longer exists. So now you're adding pieces and you're trying to figure out this. And if you're Joe Flacco, the way how many times I saw him get hit last week, that's a problem with not just Joe. That's a problem with the offensive line as well.
I would look at it like this. I don't care at what level you coach. A coach's job is to put you in a position to have success, to eliminate situations that you can't be productive in, and to put you, to lean on your strengths. Yeah. In 2014, Gary Kubiak came in to be the offense coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens. In the first 4 weeks of the season, Joe Flacco looked bad. And at some point, he is as bad as I've ever seen outside the pocket. Joe Flacco on the run, he's like a baby giraffe out there. There's just no coordination between the legs and the arm, and he's dirt and balls, and he looks horrible. And at about 4 weeks, Gary Kubiak took, which is a big staple of that offense, took it out of the offense. And it was all play pass stuff. So it was a half roll set up behind the tackle. Yep. And that's what he can do, man.
That's his
From
world.
the pocket, that's his world.
That's his world.
I saw more boot stuff last week out of the Baltimore Ravens. I'm like, he cannot, that's not his world.
His accuracy just plummets.
Right, so you need to put him, and I'm not saying he's the world's greatest, but he's proven that he can get on a hot streak. Mm-hmm. You've got to put him in positions to win, and I don't think they're doing that as an offense.
It's certain teams, for instance, Seattle, They just draft the defense better. I mean, they found all these third, fourth, fifth, sixth guys. Certain teams draft sides of the ball better. Dallas has done very well on the offensive side of the ball. I look at Baltimore, man, they figure the defense out really well. I just wonder, Flacco's probably a guy that needs the elevation of a Kubiak, of a better offensive line. I mean, Gary's not a star. He's been good when the games are, he has a running back, it's in the 20, 18, 20, 22 points. This team offensively is kind of limited personnel-wise.
Baltimore, let's don't blame it all on drafting. Some of this is culture. Since about when did you show up? 98, 99?
96.
96. They had a defensive culture that was installed, and it's lasted now over 20 years. And you damn near drop me into their defense, and I'll figure I'll be a decent safety.
Yeah.
Because the culture's so strong.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you.
You know what? Only a red zone safety.
Goal line.
You got the back of the goal line to be your deep cover guy.
But honestly, their offense has had a problem
For years.
20 some odd years. And so their identity has been